Hi, this is Ryan. uh, the families I came from England, well, the angel said, Ryan, you had virgins and men at the Knights Round Table in England. And it was prior, before, and then after the intermarriages between Scotland and England. And your mother's side, Spain and France a long time ago intermarried. And then one of their daughters from Spain and France came over and married a prince, maybe a younger royalty officer that was English. But I believe there was some Scottish in him too. Spain and France intermarried, and then that marriage came over into England, and part of Scotland was there, and they intermarried and had children. But God said, pretty much, and you had family, you had family, they don't want to believe it, but you had family at the King's Knights Round Table, and you have royalty in the bloodlines of one of the former kings of England. Now, Ryan's dad's family member found the whole generational lines behind the pose. You know, and I never wanted to read the book that she made because I had an uneasy feeling about it, like a spiritual knowledge saying, that's bullshit, that's not the real history of the family. Angels had told me that my real last surname was not Pope, because how the book that she did all the history on the family, and she said, you pretty much, the Poes were workmen in the force of the king, and that's a bunch of hogwash, because just like hogwash, like some people say, well, how do you know that? And Ryan said, well, angels told me that's a bunch of BS, because here's the thing, just like the angel spirits told me that men used to put oil on their hands and then get a firearm, like a handgun, kill somebody with it, leave the firearm with the oil that was all over their hands on the pistol grip so prints couldn't be found. Just like the angels told me, California committed treason as a state and has been since. Just like the angels told me that the Quick Trip, the gas station that was found in Oklahoma, is Canadian, really. Secretively, privately, it's Canadian. Just like the angels told me, everything where it's greenest on the earth is where a creator's heart is happiest. Just like the angels told me, weather patterns are a sign of our creator's emotions. They told me I had a king as a forefather from England. And I said, well, who was he? And they said he was his life didn't end right because he was betrayed. Your father that was the king in England, Ryan, was betrayed because France gave ideas to him. Okay, because France and England weren't talking at the time. And the king that was ruling didn't like their ideas. They homicided his forefather that was the king in England. They ended up calling him the Ham of England. It was like a King Henry William III, the Ham of England. King William Henry Ham, but then they called him, quote, the Ham, end quote, of England. They lied about him in his past, and he was murdered because he didn't want the affiliations with what was distributed to him, and warfare, party agreements, and war appointments for other territories that he didn't feel like displacing himself in or taking. But they also said you had family members at the King's Knights Round Table, and you even had virgin daughters. Your family lines did at the King's Knight Round Table. Relative to the Knights of the Round Table, you had virgin daughters in that family too. You know, the angels are the same ones that told me all that, told me that Arbor, Arbor, was a first name in England a long time ago. Arbor. Whether it's Arber or Arbor. It was Arbor, and it was a first last name in England a long time ago, and that's how America has a wine product today called Arbor Mist wine. The angels also told me that male hair cutting salons called barber shops. Barber was a real last name from an Englishman or a Scotland man. And I looked Barber up on the internet and it said its origin is France. Whatever. Anyways, the angels told me either England or France had a last name of a man named Barber a long time ago, and that's how you have the idea for hair cutting salons for men to be called barber shops. You know, the angels also told me that, you know, the Vikings, England had warfare, and they took the Vikings, okay? They got the whole crew, the Vikings, and they put them into like what Hitler did, pretty much, concentration camps. England took, because the reason why England took the Vikings and put them into concentration camps is they were barbaric. They were eating people. They had a mixed drink beverage that they called red druff, which ended up in England or France at one time. The old term for it is red druff. And what red druff is an alcoholic drink mixed with morphines and medicinal things to numb your mind, body, and brain from feeling what it's going through. And so anyways, England said, you guys are barbarians, cannibals, and all this other stuff. So they put the Vikings into concentration camps, and they decided eventually not to genocide the whole group of people, right? Okay, they chose not to genocide all the people. So what they did was release them into a territory to live all on their own, separate from the land of England. And angels told me a while ago that Russia is actually modern day Vikings. Russia is today's modern day Vikings, and it would never have happened to be a people if England did not decide to release the Vikings from the camps and give them a land allotment over there in the east. And so anyways, Russia is the modern day Vikings. But the thing here is, one is like the world history, like in our history books, we don't have how the Incans, the Mayans, and the Aztecs disappeared, but angels told Ryan. England was voyaging with its armies a long time ago, and they took a fleet of forces from Spain, France, and itself England, and voyaged all the way to South America. And when they got there, they found certain people in that community that they considered Satanists because their garments, their cultural practices, which included cannibalism, open human sacrifice while people were still living, and a bunch of other different stuff. And pretty much England and the armies thought these people are Satanists, which they didn't stand for. It's not the right way to interact with people. And they genocided all those people. That's how all those families in South America disappeared. The Incans and the Mayans and the Aztecs. Two or three of those groups disappeared because they were genocided because they were considered Satanists and nearly insane. But England was not, and England, France, and Spain were not completely racist. They believed in all the people in South America besides the tribes they encountered. And when they left biblical documents and scriptures with the land some way, maybe later on. At a time, they left Bible documents for religious activity to guide the people so they did not become Satanists. And they also, in the 1850s, later on, built a statue of the Messiah in Brazil. Your drug PCP. If you look at the history of it, you need to listen, okay? The drug PCP is a street drug in America, and it was, but the original recipe went after the Allied forces visited Germany. After they defeated Germany, the Allied forces were collecting intelligence, information, everything they could from that empire, from that former army that they had overtaken. And they saw some scary things there, but they found paperwork for chemical recipes that the German scientists created, and they found a drug on there. And the angels told Ryan the cleanest form of PCP, the safest, cleanest form of PCP was created by the Nazi Germans. And it was created for their soldiers to be courageous, brave, full of energy, and to have less sensitivity towards the loss of a living life. And it was made for their soldiers to use in battle, so that when they went into battle, the German soldiers, there was more of a fearlessness in them, an energy level that others didn't have. They were protecting their soldiers, and that was the cleanest form of that drug. But after America had found that recipe there, they brought it back over here, and their scientists changed the formula a little bit. They changed it, and they released it as a street drug. America's government did later on with their new recipe, not the safest original German Nazis recipe that was created for their own soldiers. Yeah, the American government reformulated the recipe for PCP and then put it out as a street drug. That's why you had all that wild shit go on with people that were using it. But there's just some history there, and wanted to let you know it's angelic, and part of this was prophecy, and there's some revelations.